Hello everybody, this is JimmyUltima and welcome to our new series in Grand Theft Auto 5 Speed Test. We are going to be doing two parts in each episode for this series. The first is seeing how fast each vehicle we own can go by driving from the Los Santos International Airport, or LSIA, all the way up to the outskirts of Paleto Bay. The second part is seeing how long of a drive it really is. The reason for part 2 is because when playing on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or PC version of the game, you can go into first person and see the inside of the car, which in turn lets you see a speedometer that in turn gives you a speed in miles per hour. With the speedometer being shown, we want to see how accurate is it. To get the idea of how this course is going to be working, I will show you an example run with a stock car given by the game. We will start at the airport and follow a few checkpoints to Olympic Freeway at the Popular Street entrance. From here we will drive the straightaway and first person to gain what our average speed is in miles per hour based on what the speedometer says. After that we will make our way back to the airport and take the upper loop around. Once we hit the specific checkpoint, the timer starts and we drive Davis Avenue to Strawberry Avenue, which turns into Los Santos Freeway, and we drive that all the way up in our 6.76 mile journey to Paleto Bay. The timer stops once we cross the last checkpoint and we drive a little bit further along to finish the race. The course was created by myself to cover all of these aspects, as well as to make sure that we are not being interrupted by any other players or NPCs that would get in the way. Each episode we will cover 4 different vehicles. We will go over the specs for each of the vehicles, what is equipped, what the speedometer says, and then show the race of all of them racing each other. Today, we have 4 customized vehicles that are common around the community, and they are the Bravado Gauntlet, the Karin Kuruma Armored Edition, the Canis Mesa, and the Pegassi Bati 801. Starting with the Gauntlet, we have the engine upgraded to EMS level 4 with a competition suspension, race transmission, and is turbo tuned. When we took it out for the speedometer test, we saw that it was around the 120 miles per hour range. Next, we have the Kuruma, which has an engine upgraded to EMS level 4 as well, with the stock suspension, race transmission, and is turbo tuned. When we took it out for the speedometer test, we saw that it was around the 90 miles per hour range. Next, we have the Mesa, which has the engine upgraded to EMS level 4 with the stock suspension, race transmission, and is turbo tuned. When we took it out to the speedometer test, we saw that it was around the 105 miles per hour range. And finally, we have the Bati 801, which has the engine upgraded to EMS level 4 with the stock suspension, as you can adjust it, race transmission, and is turbo tuned. When we took it out for the speedometer test, we saw that it was around the 115 mile per hour range. Now, let's watch how these 4 vehicles fare against each other as they race from Los Santos International Airport all the way up to the outskirts of Paleto Bay. Now that we've finished the track with all 4 vehicles, we can go over each individual time. The Gauntlet finished first with a time of 3 minutes and 35.24 seconds. Second was the Bati 801 with a time of 3 minutes and 36.24 seconds. The Kuruma came in third with a time of 3 minutes and 39.5 seconds. And bringing up the rear is the Mesa with a time of 4 minutes and 2.35 seconds. For our calculations to work here, we need to convert them into a decimal form out of 100 instead of out of 60. So what we are going to do is take the seconds and divide it by 60 to get our converted time. So our converted times are now 3.58 rounded to 3.59 for the Gauntlet, 2.66 for the Kuruma rounded up, 4.04 rounded up for the Mesa, and 3.6 for the Bati 801. So if we were to think of the first scenario, we will use the equation of taking the distance of 6.76 miles, multiply it by 60, and then divide by the converted time. We get that the Gauntlet reaches about 113 miles per hour. The Kuruma reaches about 111 miles per hour. The Mesa reaches about 100 miles per hour. And the Bati 801 reaches about 113 miles per hour. With this, we can see that the Bati is pretty close to what we said was going to happen with the speedometer, with the Mesa and the Gauntlet being pretty close, but we noticed that the Kuruma was far off by quite a bit. But now, if we were to make the assumption that we didn't know how far we were traveling, our formula would change just a little bit, as we would take the speed from the speedometer of each of the vehicles, multiply that by the converted time, and divide it by 60, and that would give us our distance that we were really traveling. With that being said, we can see that the Gauntlet is saying we went 7.17 miles, the Kuruma is saying we went 5.49 miles, the Mesa is saying we went 7.07 miles, and the Bati 801 is going about 6.91 miles. We learned a lot from this experiment, and we now know more about the 4 cars. Next time we are going to be covering 4 new cars that will get the chance to run through the course. Be sure to leave a comment down below on what you think of this series and what vehicle you would like to see next. As always, take care, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!